Hello, Pre-Algebra students. This is Chapter 7.1, Percents and Fractions. Earlier in the book, we multiplied fractions and whole numbers, and now we're going to use fractions to find the percent of a number. Let's get started. The word percent means per 100. A percent is simply a ratio whose denominator is 100. And the symbol for percent looks like this. If we're going to write a percent as a number, this would be 85%, which could be written like this as well. If we were using an algebraic expression, p over 100 would be the same as p percent. Let's practice writing percents as fractions and fractions as percent. If we're given the number 29%, how would we write that in fraction form? We'd simply take 29 and place it over 100 because percent means per 100. This is already in simplest form, so we're finished with this problem. What about 45%? We would write that as 45 over 100, which can be reduced by a factor of 5 to 9 over 20. Now let's go the other direction. Let's start with a fraction and write that in percent form. The first thing we need to do is convert this fraction to an equivalent fraction that is over 100. In this problem, we can see that we achieve that by multiplying by 10. So we'll also multiply the numerator by 10, giving us 70 over 100, or 70%. What about 3/5? Once again, we need to convert our denominator to 100. 5 times 20 would give us 100. So we're going to multiply both numerator and denominator by 20, giving us 60 over 100, or 60%. And here's your first set of checkpoint problems. Write the percent as a fraction in simplest form, or write the fraction as a percent. Press pause while you work. There is a set of common percents that you will see so frequently that you'll simply memorize them. 10% is the same as 1/10. 20% is equivalent to 1/5. 25% is equal to 1/4. 30% is 3/10. 40% is 2/5. 50% is 1/2. 60% is 3/5. 70% is 7/10. 75% is 3/4. 80% is 4/5. 90% is 9/10, and of course 100% is equal to 1. You'll see these frequently. You'll probably memorize them simply because you'll see them so often, but it also makes sense to work to memorize these simply because they're so frequently used. Now let's use what we learned about probability to write a probability as a percent. A radio station randomly selects one of 5 finalists to win a prize. You are one of the finalists. What's the probability that you will win? Write your answer as a percent. All right, there are 5 possible outcomes. So our probability that you win is going to equal 5 possible outcomes, and one of those is favorable. So our probability written as a fraction is 1/5. Now let's write 1/5 as a percent. We'll need to multiply by 20 to get 100 on the bottom, which will give us 20 in our numerator. The probability that you will win, 20%. Not too bad, really. Now let's work to find a percent of a number. A desert tortoise can go a year or more without drinking water. When it does, its body weight can increase by 40%. Suppose a desert tortoise weighs 15 pounds after a long period without water. How many pounds can the tortoise gain when it drinks? Okay, so what we need to do is find 40% of 15 pounds. Of, remember, is a code word for multiply. So we want to find 40% of 15 pounds. Okay, so let's use the fraction form of 40% to make this problem a little bit easier for us. Let's say that 2/5 of 15 is going to give us our answer. So let's cross-reduce here to give 1 and 3, giving us an answer of 6 pounds. So the tortoise can gain 6 pounds when it finally drinks some water. Now suppose the question had asked you for the final weight of the tortoise. There is another method you can use to solve that I find a little bit easier, and that's to simply take the original weight, 15 pounds, and multiply it by 140%, or the original weight plus the 40% of additional weight gained. To solve that, you would take 15 times 7/5. Once again, we'll cross-reduce to get 1 and 3, giving us a final weight of 3 times 7, or 21 pounds. Here are the last 4 checkpoint problems for this chapter. For each, find the percent of the number. When I see you tomorrow, we'll work together on more problems in finding percents. See you then.